The cold wakes you, not an alarm, just cold. It is 6 a.m. and this is your life. This has always been your life. You don't know anything different and you never will. You eat what your mother made. It is not much. It is never much. Your little sister watches you eat because there is not enough for both of you and she knows it. You finish fast. You don't look at her face on the way out. At 6:40, every door on your street opens at the same time. Not because anyone planned it, because everyone knows what happens if you are late. You walk to the wall at the end of the block. On it is a photograph. Kim Jong-un. You stop. You bow. You hold it. You stand back up and go about your day. The same way you do every morning. The same way everyone does. Not because you want to, because wanting has nothing to do with it. The bus is full and quiet. Nobody talks. You learn early in this country that the air between people is dangerous. Words travel, so you keep yours. Work starts at 7 o'clock. You cut wood, you carry it, you stack it. There is a number on a board and that number is your only job today. Your back hurts. Your hands bleed a little by noon. The man marking your tally does not look at you when he does it. You are a number on a board and that is fine because at least you are not a problem. Lunch is short. At 2:50, a speaker crackles and everyone stops moving. You already know where you are going. You walk to the square with everyone else. The army is there in perfect rows, green and still. Then the drums start. Then the march. They chant his name in one voice, one rhythm, over and over. You stand and watch because watching is your job right now. Believing it is normal is also your job. At 5 p.m. he speaks, not in person, through speakers. But his voice is everywhere, which means he is everywhere, which means there is no difference. He tells you that your life is his gift, that dying for him is the greatest thing you could ever do. That if you are a woman, your purpose is to serve. That if you are a man, your purpose is to obey. That there is no God except him. That there is no future except through him. You have heard this speech before. You have heard it 100 times. You know every word. But today something is different. 3 rows ahead of you, there is a girl. You only see her for a second. She turns her head slightly and the light catches her face, and your brain does something it has never done before. It stops. Everything around you keeps moving, but something in you just stops completely. The speech ends. You don't remember the last 5 minutes of it. Government barbers are waiting at the corners outside. You sit down and someone else decides what your hair looks like today. There are 14 approved styles for men. You pick one. It does not matter which one. They all look the same. You are not thinking about your hair anyway. You are thinking about her. That night, you are lying down and you realize something that scares you more than anything has scared you in your entire life. You have feelings for someone you have never spoken to. And in this country, that is already dangerous. Here is what you are not allowed to do in North Korea. You cannot listen to outside music. You cannot watch foreign films. You cannot own a Bible or a Quran. You cannot speak English. You cannot use the internet. You cannot leave. You cannot travel to another city without permission. You cannot say anything against the leader, even alone, even in your own head. And you cannot fall in love without the government approving it first. Now there is a girl. And knowing the rules does not stop anything. You find her 6 months later the slow way, through whispers, through people who know people. You meet carefully. You talk carefully. Everything in this country that matters happens carefully. After 2 years, you file the paperwork. You apply for permission to be together. The government checks your loyalty scores, your work records, your family history. They approve it. You marry her. It is the first time in your life that something feels like yours. Then she tells you she is pregnant. You are happy for exactly 2 weeks. Someone reports you, a neighbor probably, or a coworker, or someone who simply needed to report someone that month to keep their own record clean. The charge is vague. In this country, the charges are always vague because specific charges require specific proof, and they do not need proof. They come in the morning, they take her, they tell you a week later that she died during processing. That is the word they use, processing, as if she was paperwork, as if she was a file that got closed. You go to work the next morning. You cut wood. The foreman marks your number. The quota is the same as yesterday. Nothing has changed. But you are different now. Something soft in you is gone. What is left is hard and quiet and very focused. You find 11 people who feel the same way. People with nothing left to lose. The plan is simple. Remove him. It fails. Someone talks. Within 2 weeks, 10 of the 11 are gone. You survive only because you are not home when they come. You run. You find a dead hollow tree in the forest and crawl inside. Insects, cold, dark, hunger. You wait anyway. You hide for years. One thought keeps you going. North Cross the river. Get out. The river nearly kills you. Cold water, guards everywhere. You make it. China, Thailand. A flight. A building in Seoul with a woman asking your name. You give it to her, your real name, out loud, for the first time in years. South Korea hits you like a wall. The colors are too much. The noise is too much. There is food everywhere, more kinds than you knew existed. Someone hands you a phone and you hold it without knowing what to do with it. You eat at a restaurant, and when the food comes, it is so good that you cry in front of strangers, and nobody says anything, because here people are allowed to feel things. You see a couple holding hands on the street. No one looks at them. No one reports them. They just walk. You see a child laugh at something small, and no one checks if the laugh is appropriate. You stand on a corner in Seoul, and people move around you like water, and none of them are afraid. And that fact alone is so big that you have to sit down on the curb and just breathe. That night in your room, you think about her, about the baby that never came, about the 10 who are gone, about the bow every morning in front of the clean photograph, about your sister watching you eat, about all the years that were not yours and will never come back. They find a note in your room the next morning. It says, "I saw what a life could look like. I just saw it too late." The city outside keeps moving. It does not stop for you. It never needed to. This is fiction, but every restriction in this story is real. The haircuts are real. The ceremonies are real. The disappearances are real. North Korea exists right now, today, while you are watching this. And for most of the people living there, the story never reaches Seoul.